Hello and welcome. Thanks for taking an interest in the Cuala World Cup prediction competition. Of course, the sporting highlight of this summer is going to be watching the Dubs winning both the All-Ireland Hurling and the All-Ireland Football Championship. And of course, every Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning, we'll be following all of the Cuala teams from senior through to intermediate, junior and juvenile as we continue our progress as a club which is going very much in the right direction. The World Cup prediction competition is a fundraiser for Cuala GAA. It's a very simple to enter competition. The most important thing though is that you have to get your entries in before the competition kicks off on June the 11th. What we're asking you to do is to fill out an entry form forecasting which two teams are going to qualify for the knockout stages from each of the 8 groups. You get 5 points for correctly forecasting each team that goes through from those groups. You then get extra points depending on how those teams progress throughout the competition. So you'll be looking at the entry form and filling out the winner and the runner-up in each of the 8 groups. Then you'll have the quarter-finalists emerging from those games and the semi-finalists emerging from those and the finalists emerging from those. Ultimately, you'll get a bonus of 25 points for nominating the winner of the competition. Will that be Spain? Will it be Brazil? Could it even be England for the first time since 1966? Well, those are the 3 favourites. But let's have a look at each of the groups and see if we can give you some sort of a hand, or at least a handle, on how the teams and how the groups are going to shape up. Well, in Group A, you've got France, Mexico, Uruguay as being the 3 biggies. France, of course, have made it to the World Cup in place of Ireland. Thierry Henry's hand has put them there. Are they likely to go on in the competition? Well, they went into the last World Cup very much as underdogs. There wasn't a great deal of expectation about the team, and they made it all the way through to the final, only losing to Italy on penalties. They're a good side, they're not a great side, and of course, really, Ireland should be there in their place. But the teams that are going to try and cause an upset against them include Mexico and Uruguay. I think that Mexico are the side that are most likely to come through this, and I think if you were looking at an upset, it could even be that France will fail to make it through these qualifying stages. So maybe Mexico and Uruguay coming out of Group A. Group B is a little bit easier to forecast, albeit not much. Argentina, with Lionel Messi, the world's finest footballer, are certainly favourites to go through as group winners, but behind them you've got Nigeria, Greece and South Korea. I fancy South Korea. They're the 4th favourites to win the group, so they're the rank outsiders in it. But I definitely think that they've got plenty about them. They're a well-organised side and they could go a long way in the competition. They can certainly qualify in 2nd place behind Argentina. In Group C, you've got England, the United States, Slovenia, as being the 3 teams that are most likely to make progress through it. You've got Algeria, but they're really just there to make up the numbers. England are one of the shortest price favourites to win the group, and the United States are 2nd favourites to go through behind them. The big game is going to be the USA against Slovenia. Whoever wins that is definitely going to go through. But you might want to look at the way the group shapes up, because Slovenia are going to be playing against Algeria first, while the USA plays against England. So the likelihood is that Slovenia will already have a win on the board by the time they face the United States. They'll also be playing England last, and by that stage England could be already through. Maybe Slovenia, yeah, they've got a decent chance there. In Group D, Germany, Serbia, Ghana are the 3 big guns in this group. I think that Kwadwo Asamoah from Ghana is going to be the stars of this World Cup, but I think that Ghana can follow Germany through there as well. Ghana and Serbia are 2 of the most confident nations, perhaps misplaced confident, but they are confident going into this World Cup. Only one of them can emerge if Germany go through, and well, let's be honest, Germany always go through, but I think that it could be Ghana going through from that group. Moving on to the bottom half of the draw, you've got Holland, Cameroon and Denmark and Japan coming out of Group E. Well, Holland are perennial underachievers when it comes to this level, but they normally make it through the qualifying stages, and they've got a very strong side. Wesley Sneijder is the driving force at the heart of their midfield, and he's had a great season for Inter Milan. Between Cameroon and Denmark, well, Cameroon, the line there is led by Samuel Eto'o, who has of course been playing well for Inter Milan as well, and Denmark are led by Nicholas Bentner, who anybody who has been watching Arsenal all season will wonder how, or why, or how, or why has he made it to a World Cup. So I'm going to go with Cameroon to follow Holland through there. In Group F, perhaps one of the easiest groups to go through in the whole competition. Italy are there, and I think that they will win it. They're not great qualifiers from the early stages of tournaments, but I think that they can do well here. Up against Paraguay, Slovakia and New Zealand. I think New Zealand are going to be potentially the whipping boys throughout the whole competition, and I would fancy the South Americans, Paraguay, to go through at Slovakia's expense. Group G is the group of death. This will sort the men out from the boys. You've got Brazil, Portugal and the Ivory Coast all bidding to grab a piece of the pie here. Brazil, yes, of course they're going to go through. Will they go through as group winners? That's for you to forecast. Then it's between the Ivory Coast, led by Didier Drogba, and Portugal, led by some fella called Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, doubtless he will have improved his game through playing in Tala at the start of this season, but he's going to finish it off in South Africa. Portugal didn't qualify very well for the tournament, and it's nip and tuck between the two sides as to who's going to follow Brazil through in that group. On balance, I think I'd probably favour Portugal, but don't ignore the Ivory Coast. The final group that we're looking at forecasting involves Spain, Chile and Switzerland, and the likeliest scenario there, I think, is that Spain are going to win it and Chile are going to go through ahead of Switzerland. Switzerland have knocked out Ireland a couple of times in competitions as well, so we wouldn't mind seeing them knocked out of the competition early on. And Chile are a half-decent side, so they can follow Spain through. Now, you have to take all of these forecasts with a pinch of salt. What do I know about it? I know plenty about under-12 hurling and football, but maybe less so about the World Cup. Still, at least it gives you an indication as to which of the sides are likely to perform well in this World Cup. Now remember, you've got to get your entry form and the €5 entry fee back to Cuala before June the 11th. €5 is all it costs, and we'd like as many of you as possible to enter. It's an important fundraiser for the club. We'd also like as many of you as possible to bring it into your workplaces, bring it down to the local pub, bring it into your schoolmates if you're watching it from the juvenile sections, bring it to as many people as possible. People are going to be entering into World Cup competitions all over the place. Every club in the country is going to be running some sort of a competition. Why not make sure that they enter it in the Cuala World Cup prediction competition? Send your entries and a cheque for €5 per entry through to Cuala at Hyde Road. Give it to any of the team mentors, or follow the instructions that will be on the website at cualagaa.ie. We'll be updating the competition as it goes through the early stages. Who knows, some of those teams that I forecast might be making it through, or it might be a completely different scenario when it gets to the knockout stages. The first prize in the competition is €500. There's also €300 for the runner-up and €200 for the person who comes third. The tiebreaker is going to lie in you being able to predict how many goals are scored throughout the duration of the tournament. And I'll give you a little bit of an indication on this. In 1998, there was 171 goals scored. In 2002, there was 161 goals scored, and in 2006, there was 147 goals scored. So the number of goals that has been scored in World Cup finals has been in decline in the three tournaments that have involved 64 matches. I think that could be reversed this time around, and I think that the tournament total number of goals is going to lie somewhere in the early 160s. But as I said, what do I know? If you're going to win this competition, to win the €500 and claim bragging rights throughout the club for the whole of the summer and probably beyond, it's going to be down to you to make your predictions. Why not try and make me look like a fool, make you look like a genius, and enter the Cuala World Cup prediction competition? Again, all the details are going to be on cualagaa.ie. Make sure you get your entries in before June the 11th. Enjoy yourself.